Hello friends, this is Mohit and I welcome you all to my YouTube channel. This is part 3 of SQL Server tutorial playlist, and in this video we'll see how to create and work with tables. So in our previous video, which is part 2 of this playlist, we have already discussed how to create, alter and drop a database graphically and using SQL query. And we have discussed these things in a very great detail. So if you have not watched that video yet, then I request you to please watch that video as well so that you can get most out of this video. So today we will discuss what is table, how to create a table, what is primary key, how to assign primary key constant to a column, how to insert data into a table, how to delete records from the table, and how to drop a table. Okay, so we'll discuss these points in a great detail. Okay, then. So first, let us understand what is table. So by definition, it is an object that contain all the data in a database, where data is logically organized in a row and a column format similar to spreadsheet, where each row represents a unique record and each column represents a field in the record. So what does this mean? If you see here in this picture, we have four rows. In first row, we have 1, P1 and 30. In second row, we have 2, P2 and 35. Similarly, third and fourth rows. And here, if you see, we have ID, name, and age. These are nothing but attributes. Okay. And these four rows are nothing but a record of a table, or in general, we say as rows. Okay. And these are columns. So ID, this ID is a column, then name is a column, then age is a column. Okay. And inside this ID column, we have four different values: one, two, three, four. Similarly, inside this name column, we have four different values, and inside this age column, we have four different values. Okay, so let us first understand the definition of the important keywords that we will be using in this video later on. But first, let us understand what is the definition of those keywords. Now, next is primary key. So, what is primary key? By definition, primary key in SQL is a single or a group of fields or columns that can uniquely identify each records in a table. And what does this mean? If you observe this picture, here this yellow marked column, which is ID column, this is nothing but a primary key. Why? Because using these values, which are present inside ID column, we can uniquely identify every individual record in a table. And what is record? Record is nothing but row. So let's say if you want to find a record with ID value equals 3, then by observing this table, we can say that this third row is the required output because it has ID equals 3 in this record. Okay. So if you observe every single record or every single row in this table, you can uniquely identify. Why? Because this ID column is a primary key where all the records of this column are unique. Okay. Now let's move to the next slide. Okay. So we have discussed what is table, what is primary key. Now let us see how we can create a table. So we can use two methods in order to create a table. First is like using SQL graph, and second is using SQL create query. And this create query is a DDL command. DDL means data definition language. So we'll discuss these things in a very great detail in our upcoming videos. For now, you can just keep this point in mind that SQL create query is a DDL command because it defines the structure of a table. Okay, so let's switch to SSMS. Okay, now in our last video, we have already seen how to create this database DemoDB. So let us click on this one. Let us click on this new query button. Now, if you click on this plus icon, you can see multiple things here like table, views, etc. Let's click on this table. So currently we don't have any table because we have not created yet. So let me do one thing. Let me first go to the slide. Let us create a table using this first method, that is using SQL graph. So to create a table graphically, you just need to right click on this tables, click on new, click on table. Now let's say we want to create table structure like this. That means the table with three columns, ID, name, and age. And ID and age column will have integral value. Okay. And name column will have string value. So first column is ID. So let's type ID. Now, since the data type is integer, so either you can type int or you can click on this arrow. Here you will see integer. Click on this one. And as of now, we don't want any null values. So untick this checkbox. Second column we want as name. This is n varchar 50. 50 is nothing but the length. And again, let us uncheck this box because we don't want any null value in this column as well. Third is age. Okay. And age is again an integer column. So let us type int and again uncheck this box. So we want these three columns only. Now, let's say we want to create this table with a primary key column and the primary key column name is ID. Okay. So in this case, we want to create this column as a primary key. So to assign this column as a primary key constant, we need to click on this arrow, right click on this. Here you will see an option, set primary key. So click on this. Okay. So after clicking, it will mark that column as a primary key. Now click on this yellow highlighted part. It will give an option to save table. Click on this. Now you can give a proper name to this table. So in our case, it is tbl underscore person. Click on OK. So this will create a table with table name as tbl underscore person. Now you can close this tab. Now, if you want to verify your table, which you have just created, you can click on this tables, right click, refresh. See, this is the table which you created. Now, if you expand this table, you can expand this columns. So here you can see there are three columns, ID, name, and age with data type mentioned. And also, if you carefully observe, for the first column, which is ID, there is a symbol with key, which signifies that this is a primary key. Okay. And here also you see it is written PK, that is primary key. Okay. So this is how we can create a table graphically. Now let us create a table using second method, that is using SQL create query. So in order to create a table, we need to use the keyword create table, then table name, which is table underscore person. And since we have already created this table underscore person, we can give it a different name, that is table underscore person new. Okay. Then here we need to specify all the columns. So our first column is ID. What is the data type? It's an integer. Now we don't want any null value, so not null. Okay. Then the next column is name. Data type is n varchar and length is 50. Again we want not null value in this column. And third column was age. So age data type is integer. This is again a not null column. So if you carefully observe, here we have not mentioned primary key anywhere for this column. Okay. So this create script will create a table with this name without a primary key. Okay. So let me create it. See, command successfully completed. Now, if I again refresh this table, we'll see table underscore person new. And this table don't have any primary key. How we can confirm this? If you click on this plus icon, click on this column. See, here it is like a normal column, ID with data type integer and not null. But last time when we created a table graphically, where we mentioned ID column as a primary key, there we have seen that the column was having a key symbol, which signifies that it's a primary key. Okay. Now, what if you want to create a table using primary key? So let me create another table with this new name underscore pk. We are assigning primary key to this column, ID column. Okay. So only one change you need to perform here. After this not null, you need to specify primary key. Now, if we create this table, let me execute this query. See, command successfully completed. Now, if I refresh this table section, you can observe this third table has been created. And now, if I expand this portion, expand this column, so here you can observe this ID column marked as primary key. Okay. Now we have already created a table. Now it's time to insert the data into a table. So to insert the data, we can use SQL insert query, which is a DML command. DML means data manipulation language. Now let's say we want to insert data into this table. Let me close this one as of now. So in order to insert data, we need to write insert into then table name. So this is the table name which we want to use. Then you need to specify the column list. So in our case, it is ID, name, age. So here we have specified all the column, but if you want to insert data into selected columns, then you can take columns accordingly. Okay. Now, after listing down all the columns, we need to write values, then the data which you want to insert. So in ID column, we want to insert 1. In the name column, we want to insert P1, and which is a string. So inside a single quote, and then age as 30. Similarly, we can create 3 other rows. Let me copy and paste. Let me modify this P2, P3, P4, 2, 3, 4. Let me put this as 35. Give it as a 36. Let's give this as 31. Okay. Remove the comma from the last. Okay. So since we want to insert 4 rows, we can write in this way. Name column is a string, so we have written this inside single quote. Now, before I execute this query, let me do one thing. Since we already know that this is a table with a primary key and ID is a primary key here, correct? Now let's say if you want to insert a duplicate value inside this primary key. So instead of 4, let me put 3. So here you can observe for this third and the fourth row, ID column has duplicate value, right? What will happen if I execute this query? It will give an error. Why? Because ID column is a primary key and we are providing a duplicate value in this primary key, which is not acceptable. Okay. So let me run this one. See, violation of primary key constraint. Okay. So let me put here 4. Now if I run this, it will execute. See, 4 row inserted. Now if you want to check the data inside table, you need to write select command. That is select star from this table. Let me execute this one. See, this is the set of data which we have inserted. Okay. Now, since we have already created and inserted data, now it's time to see how we can delete a record from a table. And we can perform this using SQL delete query, which is again a DML command. Okay. Now let me open a new query window. So this is the table. Now here, if we want to delete this third row, how we can delete? We need to write delete from then table name. And since we want to delete only third row, so we can specify ID equals 3. So why we are using this ID column? Because this ID column is a primary key and ID equals 3 will uniquely identify this third row and it will delete it. Okay. So let me run this query. One row affected. Let me write this select query here. Let me select this query. Now we have only three rows. The third row is deleted. Now what if we want to delete all the records? So what we have to do? We will remove this where condition and we can execute this query. So after executing this delete query, you can observe that three row affected. Now if you select here, you can see no records, but still you can see the columns. Okay, so from here what we can conclude that if you are deleting all the records from a table, then it will not drop that table or the table metadata. Here metadata means the table information. See, here we still have ID, name and age column, although we have deleted all the rows from this table. Okay. Now, what if we want to drop a table? Because in our previous query, we have seen that using a delete, we can delete the record or we can remove the records from a table, but still the table will exist. Okay. It will not drop the table. So in order to drop a table, we can use SQL drop query, which is nothing but a DDL command. So how we can use this? Let's see. So in order to drop a table, we need to write drop table and then table name. Okay. So after executing this query, you will not see even this column name also because it will totally drop the table. Okay. So let's say you have some data also. Let me insert the data. Let me execute this query. So here we can see there are four records. Now, if I execute this drop statement or drop query, then along with the data, it will also drop the table. You won't see any column name also if you select the table. Let me execute this query. Query completed successfully. Now let me select this one. See, since it has permanently deleted a table, so it is not able to find this table. And that's why it is throwing this error, invalid object. Okay then, so in today's video, we have seen what is table, what is primary key, how we can create, insert the data into table, and how we can delete a record or multiple records, and how we can drop a table. And we have seen differences in delete and drop. Okay, so that's it for today's video. In our next video, we'll discuss primary key and a foreign key constraint in a great detail. Okay, thank you so much for watching the video. So if you like it, and please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon to get the new video updates. Let's meet in our next video. Till then, take care and goodbye.